I have worked with the Red Cross for 12 years coming up. But I'd like to start off by saying to you, when you think of the American Red Cross, what do you think of? What comes to mind? Any ideas?
Blood drives.
Blood drives? Someone said disaster?
Disaster.
When you think of disasters, what kind of disasters do you hear?
Fire. Flood.
Shelters for anything, tornadoes, floods.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else come to mind?
Life-saving classes, swimming classes,
Very good.
babysitting classes, first aid classes.
Many times we got help from the American Red Cross.
Well, thank you. That's the end of my presentation. You covered it. That is very impressive that you know the services of the American Red Cross. Normally when I go in to speak to an organization or a group, they may have heard of the American Red Cross because of disasters. But when they think of disasters, they think of national disasters like Katrina or Sandy or Haiti. But they don't think about in their local communities here in Lebanon County. We have volunteers ready 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to help those in our community affected by a disaster. Most of those disasters you don't even hear about, but we have volunteers ready to go out and help those affected by a disaster. And we are fortunate in this room, Mary Ann Levan and her husband, Paul, have been phenomenal volunteers here in Lebanon County. And I myself have to take my hat off to the volunteers because without them, we couldn't do what we do. You know, I'm sure there have been many times, and Mary Ann can share many stories, I'm sure, about getting woken up at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and having to go out to a fire or to set up a shelter here in Lebanon County. Last year, I think it was July, we had a huge shelter that we had to put up because of a leaking gas up in the Hershey area, which affected many, many, many families. I think we helped over 300 individuals. But it's because of those volunteers that we're able to do that, because without them, we couldn't help those people. When there's a disaster, we go, we help, and we provide for the immediate needs of those affected by a disaster. So we're providing food, clothing, shelter. Sometimes people may lose, particular items that they need for their work. So we provide them materials or prescriptions that they need right then. And then beyond that, we work with them with their medical needs, medical health, mental health. Some people, when you've been affected by a disaster, whether you maybe can't move into your home or lose your home, there's a lot of issues that you're dealing with personally of how do you move on? And the Red Cross also provides, care in directing those individuals to other organizations within our communities to help them just beyond their immediate needs at that point, but to get them beyond that. In addition, we're involved in disaster education, awareness, preparedness. So we go out into the schools, into our communities, to organizations such as yourselves, and we talk to people about disaster planning. Do you all have a plan in place for a flood? Do you know what you need to have? Do you have enough water? Do you have enough food that you can get through maybe the first 3 to 5 days during a disaster? So we go in and we talk to people about how to be prepared for a disaster. And for children, do your parents have a plan in place? Say there's a fire in your home. Do you all have a meeting place outside where you're going to meet for that disaster so you know that everyone has gotten out safely and that someone isn't running back in? Because that's not what you do during a disaster. So the Red Cross is constantly trying to educate our communities about awareness, preparedness, and education. October, which we just finished, was Fire Prevention Month. So we were out there highlighting the need to be aware and prepared because we're moving into fire season. People just starting to put on their furnaces, people who may use alternate ways to heat their homes, which aren't safe. So we're trying to make people aware of what to do and how to, live a very safe and hopefully carefree life. In addition to that, someone mentioned preparedness. We're involved in first aid and CPR programs. So we're looking to train people to help save someone's life if they're having heart attack or whatever, that they know how to perform CPR or how to use an AED machine. Someone mentioned babysitter programs. We have a program so that students between the ages of 11 and 18 can get trained in, the skill set to have to go out and be kind of a certified babysitter, so that when someone calls and says, hey, can you babysit for me? They can feel rest assured that that child knows how to handle situations, when to call 911, what to do if a child has fallen and hit their head, the steps that they need to take. And for that child to feel like, yes, I know what to do in emergency situations. We're also involved in, as someone mentioned, blood services. We're the leader. We provide over 40% of the nation's blood supply. We're out doing blood drives. We do blood drives on a regular basis here in Lebanon County. And if anyone's interested, we can host blood drives as well and get one set up for you. You mentioned services to armed forces. The Red Cross is the conduit to provide emergency communication to service personnel and their families. So for instance, in the event of something very happy, the birth of a child, the Red Cross verifies that information and gets it to the service personnel so that they're aware. Or in the unfortunate circumstances of a death, the Red Cross is also the conduit to verify that information and, if need be, bring someone back home. In addition to that service, to our armed forces, there are some other programs that we do that maybe you're not too familiar with. We provide briefings for service personnel just going into the service. It's called Get to Know Us Before You Need Us programs, so that service personnel can, and their families, know all the services that are available to them, so if they need to contact the Red Cross. We're also very proud of two programs that we've done for the past several years. One is called Totes of Hope. It's where we collect items and put them in sturdy backpacks for our homeless veterans. So we put in ponchos and cards and snacks, some hygiene items. And then we work with the Lebanon VA hospital here in Lebanon, and also the VA hospital in Altoona. And this past year, we distributed nearly 300 filled backpacks that went to veterans. And we work with the homeless coordinator at the VA hospital who gets those out in the community. Have done holiday cards for heroes programs to do holiday cards for our veterans and service personnel, just as a thank you of gratitude of what they've done for us. We're also involved in international disaster relief. So when Haiti happened, we wait for the countries to allow us to come in and respond to their disasters. And that's kind of a broad overview of the Red Cross and what we do.